Hello, are we live? I hope you can hear me. I hope you're... Hello, are you here? Welcome. Welcome everybody that's joining. If anybody's here. Thank you so much for coming to join us at the Moon and Serpent. We may be having some difficulties with technical problems, so I'm just waiting for Maggie to join us. Hopefully, Maggie, if you can put a comment in, maybe. I can't see that you've joined yet. It's not telling me who's joined, so Maggie, if you're here, give me a comment and I can invite you to co-host, which is our plan. Right, yeah, I have Maggie. Right, I've got you, Maggie. Right, we were going to invite Maggie to co-host. But no, there isn't an option to invite you to co-host, Maggie. I can ban you, which I don't want to do, obviously, but I haven't got an option to invite you to co-host. Are you able to join us from the Moon and Serpent? I can't actually invite you here. We had some problems setting up, and my cat has decided to join us as well. Okay, Maggie, we're going to stick to our plan B, and I'm going to make a start and welcome everybody that's in the room. And my name's Sonia. I'm an astrologer. I'm a modern astrologer, but I'm also studying Hellenistic astrology because I want to get in touch with the ancients and learn. There's so much richness in everything that they offer. So I'm studying that at the moment, and I'm going to talk us through what's going on with the eclipse and just a little bit about the Moon and Serpent, which is that Maggie will be introducing herself and tell you a little bit about what she does. But the Moon and Serpent is a fusion of Kundalini Yoga and astrology. So we're hoping to give you a taste of that in this, and I'm going to be talking you through what's going on with the eclipse and the astrology of the eclipse. So I'm going to bring up a picture, which if you're into astrology, that you may understand some of this, and if you're not, don't worry, I'll talk you through it. And what we've got is, if you can see my pointer, we've got the eclipse happening here, and this is in Scorpio. And Scorpio is known as a fixed water sign, and that means that the eclipse may last a bit longer. Fixed signs tend to be more enduring and lasting, and the water element brings an emotionality. So any eclipse that happens in a water sign can be emotional. And this eclipse is even more emotional because not only is it in a fixed water sign, but it's also ruled by Mars, which is up here in Cancer, which is another water sign. So we've got that dual water going on, and water can hold a lot of emotion. It can retain that element of healing and catharsis as well. So there's a chance here with the emotions that are being released of bringing healing about and letting that in, but there's also a chance of emotions building up and coming to a head. So if you're finding that those kind of events are happening at the moment, don't resist it. Allow that to happen, even if it's at the expense of conflict coming in, because that conflict is meant to happen. It's something that has been building, and if you suppress it, it's going to be unhealthy. So, you know, even if you don't like the conflict that's coming, it is necessary to face it and address it at this time, because that's what this eclipse is doing. It's bringing this up. It's things that you haven't been able to face before. And eclipses are like a karmic readjustment. So it really is saying, okay, this hasn't been faced before. It's time to really have another look at it. And what we have with the moon here in Scorpio and Cancer with Mars is that Mars in Cancer is debilitated, and the moon in Scorpio is also debilitated. So my teacher actually gave the analogy of it's like two drunks leaning on each other, and you can also almost imagine them sort of staggering down, walking home after a really heavy night at the pub, and neither can walk in a straight line, and they're both slurring their words and, you know, saying, oh, but I love them, I love her, I love him so much. And they're telling this story, and the story doesn't make sense. But they're both in a difficult emotional place, you know, but they're leaning on each other for support. So what I'm trying to say is that there is support here, but it's not necessarily the kind of support that you want or that you would choose. But it is support. It comes with strings attached, because it's, you know, it's drunk and it's leaning and it's not walking in a straight line. But it is support. So if support comes, you know, obviously check those strings that are attached, because, you know, it's not necessarily going to be what you would have ideally chosen. But at the same time, you know, take advantage, you know, lean into it, because that is the support that you're being offered. That this is what's called mutual reception. And that's the support from the moon and the support from Mars in Cancer, and they're there supporting each other. And what's also happening is that the moon is separating from the south node, and south node eclipses are talking about the past. They're talking about a letting go, and that's why we've entitled tonight's talk about letting go of fear, because quite often we hold the fear in and we build something up, and this is a chance where we can let go of something. And because the moon is separating, that means that the event has probably already happened. You probably already know what this time is about. The event is likely to have already happened, and what's happening as the moon moves away is that we're now in the time of experiencing the consequences or the fallout. It's known as flowing forth. So the moon is already bringing in what we're going to experience as the consequences of either an action, an event, or even just knowingness coming up in our consciousness. We might understand that it's time to act, understand that we can't carry on like this any longer, or we need to address this fear that we have, you know, that it is time for us to do something about it. And lunar eclipses aren't on their own, because the sun is in the opposite sign. So if we look at the opposite side of the chart, we've got this loaded house in Taurus, an awful lot going on over here. And we also have the north node. So we've got both nodes being called into action, and the north node is bringing in the future action. So that's a really good sign. And we've got Mercury is applying to the north node. So even though Mercury is in retrograde, which is obviously bringing the technical problems that we're experiencing tonight, but Mercury is giving us a chance to review and reflect, to revise, and all the RE words. It's a time for us to really slow down. And I've already spoken about Taurus season being as a season and a time after the activity of spring and the cardinality of that. Taurus is when we just slow down and look around us and take in all of our surroundings. And Mercury retrograde coming in Taurus season is really saying, slow down now. And I'm going to slow down my voice and really take that in, because that's what we need to do. And really understand where we're going towards in our future. Because we can get too caught up in the busyness of the world. And Mercury's reminding us, no, it's not all about the technology. It's not all about the busyness and the capitalist life. You know, we're not human doings, we're human beings. And sometimes it's just enough to just be. So when you're caught up in all this emotionality and healing and catharsis, take a breath and just stop and remember who you are. You know, a lot of Taurus is about just who are you, and remembering who you are. And some of what we're learning in this eclipse is, who are you? And who are you becoming with this North Node here? What can you let go of with that South Node so that you can become who you're meant to become? And the sun here is shining the light on that, you know, really emphasizing that. So the sun and the moon are both at 14 degrees, right in the middle. It's a real journey of the midpoint of Taurus, bringing in that energy right in the fixed stillness of one of the slowest, stillest signs, ruled by Venus in all her beauty and joy, but really just in the middle of that garden, soaking up all the lushness and stillness. And then right at the end of the stellium, we have Uranus, and Uranus isn't having any of all of this. He's innovative and fast and shocking. All those kind of adjectives that bring in this sudden, like, rebellious energy of the unpredictable, the unexpected. So if something happens, like you're planning a live event and it all goes wrong, this is the one to blame. It could be Mercury retrograde, but we made our plans, we've been planning it, and I've been trying all sorts of different backup plans, but you can still expect the unexpected, because Uranus is here and he's going to be bringing in something that you really could not plan for. So that is what's going on with all of this. And just to mention a couple of last things, which is that in 2 days' time, we've got Venus here at the top in Cancer, and she's not in the best place in Gemini at the moment, but she will be moving into Cancer, and that will bring relief from the difficulties with Mars as she moves into Cancer. In traditional astrology, that's known as being co-present, and that's going to bring some dignity and like companionship to Mars, and that's going to like really change the energy of that sign. And then later in the month, I think it's on this 17th, we have Jupiter is going to be moving into Taurus, and that's really going to change the energy up in Taurus as well. So that's what you've got to look forward to. And the other two things I wanted to cover with this talk on the eclipse is that you might be wondering how long this energy lasts. And I think I mentioned before that with Scorpio and water signs, it can be enduring, because it's a fixed sign. Eclipses generally, we say, look for at least 90 days. And with the fixed signs, that can be even longer, up to 2 years. And certainly with Taurus being so steady and Scorpio being so transformative. Scorpio is ruled in modern astrology by Pluto. And you may or may not know that Pluto has just entered Aquarius, and he's going to be there for 20 years. So this really could be energy that you're looking at, like life-changing energy that's going to last, like change your life for the next 20 years. And by the time you've lived in that energy for 20 years, it's going to change your life permanently. So the people who are most affected are the people on this axis of Scorpio and Taurus, but also Leo and Aquarius who are squaring it. But it's also likely to affect you if you've got planets, particularly if you've got planets at 14 degrees. But also the moon is going to be travelling over this 14-degree point for the next 90 days. She's going to hit it 3 times in Scorpio, and then another 3 times in Taurus. So we're all going to feel that energy as the moon bumps over all of these signs. There's so much sensitivity where we've got these 3 planets here and this sensitive point in Taurus. So I would say that we're all going to feel this one, and that's my comment on the eclipse. And if we were both hosting then I would ask Maggie if there's any questions. I'm just going to check in the chat. And then I'm going to sign off and let Maggie sign in. If I can see how to do that. Because that button has now disappeared. Maggie's going to be taking us through the meditation, and I think what we're going to have to do is I'm going to have to end the live, and Maggie will maybe start it again. Maggie, if you can mention in the chat if you can catch this. I think that's probably going to be how we'll have to do it. And if there are any questions, then I'll be in the chat and I'll answer in the chat. Because the button are planned to change, like I said, Uranus is messing us around here. It's certainly unexpected because we did have a plan A and a plan B, and that isn't going to work. So yeah, Maggie's given me the thumbs up. So I'm going to end the live and Maggie is going to restart it. And she'll take us through the meditation and then we'll do any questions. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for listening.